Nick Saban had things to say at a roundtable talking about the present state of college football. I'm going to talk about how more things change, more they stay the same, and we got to have us a come to Jesus meeting at the Colorado admissions office. Let's go. It's the #1 college football show. What's up, kinfolk? Welcome to the #1 college football show. I am your host, RJ Young. Thank you for watching on the Fox Sports app, YouTube, or listening wherever you get your podcast. Today, we'll talk about Nick Saban, why Greg Byrne decided that he didn't want to hire another Nick Saban. And Nick Saban had some things to say on this here Tuesday as we're getting ready to have us a little church, a little tent revival on a Tuesday night. Let's start off by talking about one of my favorite subjects, one of the subjects that you like to hear me talk about the most, which is the University of Colorado and Coach Prime. Now, I kind of find it funny that we're talking about Colorado football at a time when ain't no Colorado football being played. Matter of fact, we're just getting into spring football practice, getting started for many, probably going to conclude around the NFL draft, for which we'll talk about some of those players a little bit later on too in our third segment. But A block is the cause and prime effect on the University of Colorado. Now, following a 4-8 season for Colorado football, we have seen a 20% increase in applications to the University of Colorado that has led to a record number of applications in a year to the University of Colorado at 68,000. Of those 68,000, the University of Colorado will extend offers to 51,000, 35,000 of which ain't from the state of Colorado. Okay. Add to this, of that 68,000, 50.5% of prospective students applying for admission to Colorado are Black. 25.6% of that 68,000 identify as Hispanic. Just 2.7% of the current student body at Colorado identifies as Black. You understand what I'm saying? You hear what I'm saying to you? Yes, Colorado went 4-8 last year. They also had the only nationally televised spring game of anybody last year. Yes, Colorado went 4-8. They also sold out damn near every game they played last year. And we talking about being 4-8. Imagine if they were good. Now, on top of all this, I thought it would be a victory lap for Rick George, for Coach Prime, and frankly, the University of Colorado, because this is what you hired your college football coach to do. He is your chief marketing officer. It is your marketing arm. And we talk about the money here in a second, but not before we get this quote from Colorado Assistant Vice Chancellor of Admissions, Jennifer Ziegenfuss, who told the Daily Camera upon learning 20% increase for a record 68,000 prospective student to the University of Colorado. It's really difficult for us to draw a causational line between Coach Prime and this application increase. Honey, please. Okay? Look here. I come from academia. Okay? Before I was blessed to get into this job, sit in this chair to talk with you about a thing I'd be talking about with people anyway, I was studying to be an English professor, right? I was studying to be Dr. RJ. And I already had a policy in place that if we were playing football on a weekday, I'm canceling class. I am canceling class because I want you to feel as if you were invested in the outcome of said football game. And it ain't got nothing to do with school spirit, although there is some of that, right? That's found money. Give a little extra credit if you can show me that you have a ticket where you attended the football game. It's because football and winning football is directly tied to the increase of students. The increase of students is directly tied to the bottom line of how much money I would make as a faculty member or administrator at any FBS program. Now, on all of this, right? It's like, RJ, they didn't win. I'm getting to that. So in this cause and prime effect, we're going to unpack it a little bit further because many of my former colleagues in higher education would be to first tell you they don't care about football. They wish that football didn't have much to do with the university. And I went to a university that is the smallest FBS program in the country, University of Tulsa, and not long ago talking about shutting down the football program. I'm like, hey now, you don't stop the football program from doing what the football program does. You invest in the football program. It is a loss leader for you. Put it another way, your winning football team provides not just an increase in the amount of students you get, but the quality of students you get. So check this out. Half of the top spending research and development institutions in the United States spent over $1 billion, right? Half the top 24, not half the top 24. Important. Of those top 10 who each spent over $1 billion in 2021 on research and development, they have great football teams, if not mediocre football teams. So, yeah, Stanford, they weren't good last year, but they've been good in the past. Wisconsin, mediocre, could be great, right? UCLA, mediocre, could be great. The other two that I want to point you to are 2023 national title runner-up Washington and 2023 national champion Michigan. They have a great research and development program in place where they spend over $1 billion and a really, really good football team. Those things not only go hand in hand, but the football team has more to do with being able to spend that $1 billion than any other part of the university. Okay? So let's take one school that did not win a national championship, hasn't won a national championship in a long time, but is consistently good. Penn State, right? Penn State brought in $181.2 million in 2021-2022 fiscal year as an athletic department. Okay? $170.5 million of that was expenses, which means they turned a profit, which means they are just one of 9 schools in the entire country who make money from the athletic department. Okay? That's Penn State. Also add in here the football program. James Franklin's football program brought in $105 million and spent just $60. They made $45 million in 2021-2022. That is with losing to Michigan and Ohio State. You understand what I'm saying? Football be moving the needle out here. Now, most FBS programs don't make a profit, right? Matter of fact, the median net revenue, according to the NCAA, for an FBS program, athletic department is about $15.8 million, so about $16 million. But that's not why you do it. You do this because it is a loss leader for you. It is what athletic directors like to call the front porch of the university. I hate that. I like saying cheap hype man. I like saying marketing. I like to treat you like an adult because these are corporations. These are CEOs that you're asking to run these corporations. They're called football coaches. We also, I thought, put this to bed a long time ago because if you've been listening to this show for any amount of time, you know that this is one of my hobby horses is that, yeah, you need a winning football program, but you need a great football program so that your university can thrive. We have what is called the Flutie effect to really define what this is. It is a term that was coined by Harvard professor Doug Chung, who studied marketing, right, and put together a working paper called the Dynamic Advertising Effect of College Athletics. Called it a Flutie effect because he traced it back to 1984. Boston College beats Miami on a Hail Mary pass from Doug Flutie. Doug Flutie apparently, goes on to be pretty great. But what's great for Boston College is they saw a 30% increase in enrollment the following year. The small Jesuit school university saw the bump, right? Now, on top of all of that, Chung also found that a mediocre football team becoming a good football team sees an increase of about 18.7% in prospective students in enrollment that following year. So about the 20% that Colorado got, and Colorado was 4-8. You understand what I'm saying? If they were mediocre going to good, how much larger would that increase be? Well, we actually got a great example for that. It's called Alabama and Nick Saban. In 2006, Alabama hires Nick Saban. 2006, they had just over 4,400 students coming into their incoming freshman class. Okay. Go 10 years later, 2017. By that time, Alabama has become the class of college football and the most dominant football program in the 21st century. The incoming freshman class 2017 Alabama had 7,400 students. So that's 3,000 more than 10 years prior. On top of that, of that 2006 crop of 4,400 students, just 13% had an ACT score of 30 or higher. Okay. In 2017, 41% of the 7,400 prospective students to the University of Alabama in 2017 had an ACT score of 30 or better. Dog, we still live in a world where if you get 18, you're doing pretty damn good, okay? You getting into school. You might not be getting into school you want to get into, but you getting into school. You get into 24s, you get into 25s, you get pretty damn good scholarship. You get into 30, they're paying you to go to school. And these kids were applying to the University of Alabama. Let me tell you something. They not applying to the University of Alabama because they got one hell of an English department. They not applying to the University of Alabama because they got one hell of a journalism department. They not applying to the University of Alabama because they got one hell of a petroleum engineering degree. They're applying to the University of Alabama because the football team wins games. They are winners. Want winners. People who win. That's who we want to be associated with because, bless God, we are Americans and we love to win and we love a winner, okay? I'm thinking about this from the standpoint of Nick Saban and how much he gets paid. People are going, why does the football coach make this amount of money? Because when the football program is good, all of this feeds to the university itself. And everybody in the state of Alabama is on the program. Every single person in the state of Alabama understands the value of Alabama football, not just to the university, but to the economic development of one of the poorest states in the South. And they have been living in high cotton in the era of Nick Saban, which is why everybody is holding on to the pearls pretty close with Kalen DeBoer taking over. Because we got to win here at Alabama. And if we're not winning, we're going to find somebody that does, because winning keeps everybody happy, keeps everybody's pocket stuffed. Keeping everybody's pocket stuffed, I mean, the mortgage gets paid on time, and there's nothing more important than getting the mortgage paid on time. Colorado is on that train now, folks. You need two things to make money in college football and to make money as a university. You need a good football program, and you need one that's on television quite a bit. Colorado succeeded in getting on television quite a bit in a year where they were sorry, setting records. A lot of people watching Colorado football last year claiming not to like Colorado football. I find that funny. Because even as all that was happening, we got an assistant vice chancellor who goes out of her way to say, hey, Coach Prime ain't got much to do with the increase in enrollment. I would love to know what she thinks does, though. Right? Like, that was my question. It's like, all right, cool. Let me walk that out. Tell me what it is that y'all are doing on the admissions side that got more children who apply to the University of Colorado this year than any other year past, when y'all have had better football years, right? Had better basketball years, had better years. No. That's not going to float for me, because at the bottom of all this, and this is how I talk about this with my higher education friends, with administrators that I come into contact with, is this simple. Colorado had 68,000 applicants apply to grow their alumni donation base. Those of you that finished, right, graduated, y'all get the same phone calls I do, hitting me up for money, going, hey, would you like to give money to this? Would you like to give money to that? No. You know what people want to give money to? The football program. Do you know why you know Oklahoma State's name? It's because Boone Pickens decided to make Oklahoma State his favorite child. This is how it happens. This is why we saw the brown envelopes being put out in SMU, A&M, Houston, all back in the day. It is an effort to win games, guys. Texas went from 8-5 to 12-2 with a Big 12 championship and a college football playoff berth. They're going to see a bump in enrollment, even as big as the flagship university of the state of Texas is. They're going to get that 20% and then some. The bottom line for all of college athletics is making money. And the more people fight that, the more people like me, I should say, not like I, but like me, are going to take that and run with it and leave y'all in the lurch. Which brings me nicely down to our next segment, why Alabama AD Greg Byrne didn't want another Nick Saban. Harkening back to my earlier YouTube days, the title that I would give to something like this would be, Byrne didn't want another Nick Saban, which is true, because the quote that he gave to Bama Online was, I think if we tried to hire somebody that tried to look and act like Coach Saban, it probably wouldn't have been good. There's only one Nick Saban. All of that is categorically correct, right? We understand this. It also kind of gets back to why there will never be another Nick Saban and just what college football is experiencing right now. Now, that said, he made it sound like they weren't going down his tree or they weren't looking for somebody that had similar characteristics, and that's not exactly true, right? We know Steve Sarkisian was a name that they called and they were interested in. We know that Dan Lanning maybe had been at the top of the list, another dude that comes off the tree. The guy that I thought had the best opportunity not named Kalen DeBoer to get that job was actually at Florida State, Mike Norvell, and that made a lot of sense. Number one, Norvell can recruit his butt off, right? Number two, look at what he's been able to do in the portal, how he has adapted Florida State to this current climate of college football. And finally, for me, look at what he did last year with a Florida State team that people still say was not very talented. They still went undefeated in the ACC, and they still won the ACC title, right? Jordan Travis doesn't get hurt. Do they play in the college football playoff? I don't know. I still don't know, right? I think they should have been in there regardless, but after Alabama unseats what we thought was the unseatable Georgia Bulldogs, yeah, okay, that's a really difficult argument. It's the reason why we're extending the playoff from 4 to 12, right? So we don't have to run into that anymore. But on all of that, I think going to a guy like Kalen DeBoer, smart, but it also, there's not a great way to look at this if you are not at Alabama, right? We've been saying for years that nobody should want to follow Nick Saban at Alabama because you're going to be compared to the last guy. That's just what it is. Even when people say they're not going to do it, we're going to look at how good Alabama was, and we're going to see, are you hitting that standard or are you doing something beneath it? And Alabama, they got a quick trigger, right? They in it to win it. However, after Lloyd Carr decided to retire, a Michigan man that won games, won national championship, Michigan went the other way. They went all the way to the left, and they hired Rich Rod. Okay, that ain't go well. All right, we can leave it there. It just ain't go well. Then they went all the way back to the right, and they hired Brady Hoke. Michigan man, but that ain't go well neither. They ended up settling on another Michigan man, but one that could absolutely coach his butt off in Jim Harbaugh, and even took him 5 years to get that thing on the good foot, okay? Took him another 3 after that to win a national championship, 2 after that to win a national championship, right? We get all of that. I'm curious to find out how this plays in a year, in 18 months, in 2 years, as Greg Byrne is doing this. On top of Nick Saban is out here saying stuff, guys. Like, have you been paying attention to Nick Saban since he decided to retire in January? He has things to say. He's going to be doing game day. He's going to be going to Congress, giving his opinions. I thought it was interesting that earlier this Tuesday when we are doing this live show, Nick Saban was part of a roundtable in Washington talking about the state of college football and NIL and basically all the ills, as the old would like to tell us, that are coming to the sport that they once loved. He said, look, 50 years of me coaching college football, college athletics has gone out the window. It no longer matters. He recounted a story that Miss Terry told him, and I love that he talked about them as we retired. Like, it's always been a we with them. It's never been a him. It's always been a we, and I really valued that. But they would have recruits over on Sundays, and she would entertain parents as he would talk to players. And at the end of one of these, not too long ago, Miss Terry went to Nick and said, all they care about is how much money you're going to pay them. We got into this to help mold young men into good men. So why are we doing this? To which Nick didn't have a great answer, and they decided to retire because we live in a world where apparently coaches asking how much money they're going to get paid for 155 years of college football is just fine. But players asking how much money they're going to get paid is a problem. A, is hypocritical. B, just say you don't want to pay them. Okay? Don't hide, right? Don't hide behind character. Don't hide behind raising good people. Good people get hired and paid. I've been doing a lot of growing up since I got to Fox Sports. I also get paid for my time. You understand what I'm saying here? You know, like, you can do both, and it's fair to do both. But I also think this is a bigger conversation that we're going to get into on our Thursday shows. We talk about what the athletics and money have to do with all this and where this money is coming from and how much the kids are getting paid. But I'd leave it at this, right? When we first got the NCAA into the television business, it was actually a Yale athletic director named Robert Hall who put all this together. by 1955, he was saying that TV money was going to wreck the sport. So we've been essentially telling that lie for the better part of 70 years. Nah, man. The only thing that is changing is that old folks are watching their traditions go out the window. They're seeing that players don't want to come to their school. They want to come play for the coach. And they want to get paid for their time. If you got a player that really loves being in college football, cherish that dude, right? He'll be around. He'll show you an HVAC unit. He'll show you a car. He'll be around. But if you don't, hey, man, did you win? Is that what it's about? Because if it's about more than that, I got to tell you, this sport's going to let you down as we are extending the playoff and the money is getting to be absolutely enormous. So much so that some guys don't even want to enter the NFL draft. They would rather stay in college and collect a check. But that said, let's talk about the players who are going to enter the NFL draft, or have entered, I should say, the NFL draft, and will be up for selection in April. So in keeping with the landscape of sports media as it is today, we're going to talk a little bit about the NFL draft, right? So I've told you who I think are my best available players in this draft, and kind of building on that with free agency very much underway, some big deals being signed. Shout out to Tulsa's own Josh Jacobs, who signed a deal with the Green Bay Packers to keep running that football. I'm with it. I kind of want to talk about what the needs are for some of these teams in the first round and who I think they could select. Okay? So number one on the list, Marvin Harrison Jr., who is given all the vibes of a guy that reluctantly left Ohio State. He's still there. He's still working out, right? He's still going through practice with them dudes. But you could see why he is wide receiver 1 on the board. There's nothing that dude can't do with a football in his hands, right? Give him whomever you want. He's going to eat him up. I think the best fit for him, though, is where most people have him, Arizona Cardinals at number 4. If he lasts number 4, and I'm not sure that that's even a thing, right? Given what you might do with Chicago or not do with Chicago, right? On down the line, depending on how much you value great wide receiver play, Marvin Harrison Jr. is that dude. Like the way that we were looking at Jamar Chase a few years ago, that's how I think we should be looking at Marvin Harrison Jr. And I think that the Cardinals could do very well to go get them the Biletnikoff Award winner and the first dude to have multiple 1,000-yard receiving seasons at the Ohio State. Next on the list, let's go keeping it in the game rivalry with J.J. McCarthy. I'm going to buck the trend here. I think that J.J. goes to Denver at number 11. You saw Russell Wilson just signed his deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're going to be looking. I don't think that Drew Lock is a guy, and I don't want to get into that too much, but I do want to talk about how I think Sean Payton looks at J.J. McCarthy and sees Drew Brees. I see Drew Brees. I see more athletic Drew Brees. I see Drew Brees with a really, really explosive arm. There's nothing that J.J. can't do with football in his hands. Now, given that he can do what you ask him to, the kind of offense that Sean Payton would like to run, he'd love to trust the quarterback. He'd love to get that guy in one-on-one situations with Marvin Mims, who's got 4.4 speed, who's probably going to move into that wide receiver 1 category as Jerry Jeudy just signed with the Cleveland Browns. I think that's a great fit. I think it gives them an opportunity to start over. I think that's what Denver's been begging for. And I think JJ did himself a service by showing out at the NFL Combine, really reinforcing what those of us that have been watching the sport for some time already knew. He is a supreme athlete. And then he got to show his charisma. And you're going to need all of that in Denver, right? That's a place where Peyton won. That's a place where John Elway won. You get what I'm saying here, right? They could do with another franchise-level quarterback that can sell a lot of cars and also looks good on a billboard. All right. Next on the list there, I'm going to continue to buck this trend. I got Jaden Daniels going to Minnesota at number 12. I think based on what he did in 2023 and just how badly the Vikings need a quarterback and also a calming influence, it's a good fit. Like, it's one thing for me to tell you that I got some questions about Jaden's ability to translate to the NFL, because we got 4 years of tape and then we got 1 year of outstanding tape. And I just don't know which one to trust there. But you know what I can trust? His attitude about the game, his ability to stay mature in the pocket, to not say anything that's going to get anybody in trouble. He is one of the kind guys in our sport. Many people root for him and pull for him. I think you could do with that in Minnesota and Kevin O'Connell. Just give some stability to your quarterback room by saying, hey, this is the rookie. He's also an older rookie. He's going to fit right in what we're doing. and give us an opportunity to go win some football games with his arm and his legs. Next on the list, I got Michael Penix Jr. going to the Vegas Raiders, who are expected to release Jimmy Garoppolo. And we know that it was kind of a musical chairs thing with Aiden O'Connell even taking some snaps for the Raiders. When they had good quarterback play, they felt like a team that was on it. Remember, they gave the Chiefs the what for and the how now in December and really woke the Chiefs up. Chiefs got back on the good foot, won the Super Bowl. But I think that is a team that, quite honestly, is a quarterback away. And I think Michael Penix Jr. looks at Devontae Adams is like, hey, look, I got another Romo Dunze. I can make that work. I got another Ty Freifogel. Didn't think I had that one, did you? I can make that work. I also think that another older, mature quarterback coming into a room full of vets where Antonio Pierce is getting the opportunity to set the tone with the Vegas Raiders would be so welcome to that organization. Because basically since Josh McDaniels decided to go with Jimmy Garoppolo, it ain't been feeling too great. Matter of fact, basically since they lost out on the Tom Brady sweepstakes, it ain't been feeling too great, even with Derek Carr being Derek Carr, right? Who I thought was a tremendously cool dude and a pretty damn good quarterback, all things considered, right? Last on the list, my favorite one to slot here, Xavier Worthy to the Jacksonville Jaguars at number 17. I think Calvin Ridley leaving the Jacksonville Jaguars, if, when, how that happens, would really be the reason why I settle on this, because I think that of that 2017 quartet of wideouts to come out of Alabama, right? I think that that dude is the most underrated of the group. That guy can run, right? That guy can take the top off the defense. Xavier Worthy showing that he has 4.21 speed and has already been doing the yeoman's work with Texas, catching most of those balls, being their wide receiver one, can return kicks, can return punts. You're going to get him on a rookie deal. You're going to add him to Trevor Lawrence, add him to Travis Etienne. Excuse me. Trevor Etienne's on my mind because he just transferred to Georgia. You understand what I'm saying here? I think that's great. I think that you could have a really young, dynamic trio that you could perhaps see walk in the AFC title game, not unlike, say, Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase. I could see that with Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Xavier Worthy. If you're in the market for a wide receiver, though, you can also afford to be a little bit, shall we say, conservative, because this is a very, very deep class of wide receivers. So those are the 5 fits that I have for NFL prospects. Perhaps they'll go to these places. Perhaps they will have tremendously long careers, and we'll be talking about them well after their careers are over. All right, it's going to do it for this show because it is over. We're going to be back on Thursday to talk about the business of college football, the extended playoff, the money distribution, all of the fun stuff that I really love to talk about. Other people think is, I think, kind of boring. Nah, not me. We're going to make this fun. I promise. We're going to circumcise this and that. All right. That is going to do it for tonight's episode of the number one college football show. We'll see y'all on Thursday. Until then, stay low. Keep those feet driving. Deuces.